Hi guys, welcome back. I'm Maya with Simply Bloom. It is a really quite gorgeous day out. It is snowing. I don't know if you can see that or not, but I wanted to run out here and do a quick video. And this video is I want to talk about all the plants that I wish I could grow but can't because of my zone. So I live in zone 3, northern Minnesota. This is my favorite time of year to really plan. I study plants, study catalogs. I really just plan my garden out. I know I like to say I plan my garden out, and then come spring and summer, I just go crazy and don't follow the plan at all. But this time of year, I like to attempt to plan. And I was looking at Proven Winners website actually, and I started just wishing, like, God, there's so many beautiful things I wish I could grow, putting gloves on, but I just can't. So I thought, you know what, why don't I do a list of plants that I wish I could grow, talk about them, because if some of you that are in warmer zones, maybe you don't have some of these plants, and I wanted to give you ideas. Little, shopping spree for you guys to go on. If you're in a warmer zone, there's a good chance you have these or have heard of these, so you might be like, oh Maya, this is old news, but I thought it would be fun to do this video, and it was so fun to kind of research plants, even though I know I could never grow them in this zone. I try to choose things that I can't grow any of them here. So for example, I love roses, and there's a lot of rose varieties that I wish I could grow, but I can grow a lot as well. And same with hydrangeas. Oak leaf hydrangea, wish I could grow those. I can't, but there's a ton of other hydrangea varieties that I can grow. So I didn't choose anything of that. This list here, wrote it all down, are things that I can't grow any of them of. And these are in no specific order. Like I don't like number 1 better than number 8 or whatever. They're all the same. I wish I could grow them all. This is just the order I happen to write it down with. And the first one is Pearl Glam Beautyberry. I'll pop up a picture. I don't need to say anything really after you see that picture. This one is known for interest spring, summer, and fall, and probably a little bit of winter too. In the spring, it gets those dark leaves emerging. In the late summer, it gets these tiny little white flowers that turn into those gorgeous purple berries up and down the stems. 4 to 5 feet tall, 3 to 4 feet wide, in zones 5 through 8. So if you live in those zones and you don't have it, you better be running to the garden center in the spring to get this. Number 2 is Kniphofia. Now, this surprised me a little bit because up until last year, I didn't like grasses. And I think it's mainly because the ornamental grasses that I can grow in Minnesota, they're not that grand. So going to Kniphofia, which is the next plant that I wish I could grow, it has that grass-like texture of the leaves, which I never used to like, but I'm really starting to like. So it has that grassy texture, and then the blooms, they're like shining lanterns. Now the one specifically that I would like to grow is Hot and Cold, Red Hot Poker. It, like I said, has a grass-like foliage, and this has like the orange and yellow blooms up top. There's a lot of them that have just mainly more solid colors. Like the solar flare is all yellow. Rock and red glare is mainly all red. There's a little bit of yellow at the very bottom. And then the orange blaze is just a straight up orange bloom. Now, I wish I could grow these because my husband loves orange. It's his favorite color. And there's not a whole lot of orange that works real well for my zone. If you guys know of any for zone 3 or 4, I can grow a lot of 4 as well. Let me know. But Kniphofia, typically they get 2.5 to 3 feet tall and 2 to 2.5 feet wide. Zones 5 through 9. Next is Buddleia, and I feel like this is kind of old news because I see Buddleia everywhere. Everyone I feel like has it except for me and my fellow zone 3ers. But if I could, the 2 varieties that I would love to grow are the Pugster Amethyst. Now, I know some places deem butterfly bush invasive, so you won't be able to grow the Pugster variety because they're not sterile, but let me tell you about this Pugster Amethyst. It gets 2 feet tall by 2 feet wide, so definitely smaller. You can tuck it into different places. Has those beautiful amethyst flowers, which the pollinators just adore. Once it starts blooming in the early summer, it will bloom until frost. And not only are they drought tolerant, but they are also resistant to deer and rabbits. Zones 5 through 9. Next one is Miss Molly, and I believe this one is sterile, but correct me if I'm wrong. This one gets a bit bigger than the amethyst. 48 to 60 inches tall and wide, so definitely more of an impact. Zones 5 through 9, just like the other one, and it has those most beautiful pink blooms. Next one is something that I never even heard of until a year ago, 2 years ago, from Janie, Dig Plant Water Repeat, and she did a whole video on the Chinese fringe flower, and ever since I saw that, I have wanted one. But I can't grow it because they are in zones 7 through 9, and I saw that there are some varieties that can tolerate up to zones 10 as well. Just like the Buddleia, there are several different varieties that range in tiny up to monsters. So starting at the smallest, Jazz Hands Mini. This is a very more compact, almost like a ground cover. It gets 10 to 12 inches tall, up to 3 feet wide. All of the not Jazz Hands. This is all of these that I chose are Jazz Hands. They all have the deep purple foliage, almost like a smoke bush, which I can grow. I just don't get the awesome flowers. But this one's more mini, and it has those bright pink flowers, fringy flowers that almost look like, what are those called? Fireworks to me. Next up is the Jazz Hands White. Now, I was reading this one is like the best Chinese fringe flower for if you want a white flower, most prolific white flower. 36 to 60 inches tall and wide. So 3 to 5 feet tall, 3 to 5 feet wide. A definitely nice sized shrub, but still easy and manageable to tuck into your garden. And next is Jazz Hands Bold. Bigger the foliage, bigger the flower, that bright pink, just firework of a flower. 60 to 72 inches tall, 74 to 84 inches wide. And it has that bright pink flower as well. Next one, Interstella Lily of the Valley. Now I know Lily of the Valley can have kind of a bad rep. It can be known for being invasive. This is a shrub form, and as far as I know, not invasive. I didn't see anywhere that it was easily of spreading, but let me know if that's not true. This one particularly is beautiful. It's pink, and the blooms themselves look like just strings of pink pearls. And I saw it, and I'm like, what? That's gorgeous. 3 to 4 feet tall, 3 to 4 feet wide, so very manageable to fit anywhere in your garden. Zones 5 through 8. What's awesome about this is it can take full shade and full sun. It can take both. Part sun, part shade, full sun. You can literally put it anywhere. You have no excuse to not be growing this in your garden. It says one of the easiest plants to grow, one of the earliest blooming plants. Like I mentioned, it has hundreds of blooms all just chained together. And not just that, the flowers can last up to at least 2 months long, if not longer. That doesn't happen very long in a plant that can bloom 2 to 3 months long. After the blooms are done, the plant shoots out this bright red new growth, which is just another interest that you can bring along for the year. One thing to keep in mind, it does bloom on old wood, so don't be pruning it at the wrong time, otherwise you won't get those luscious, gorgeous pearls. Now this one, like I said, is a pink, and there is a white variety as well. I've seen pictures. I couldn't necessarily find an exact variety name, and I think I remember watching Janie, again from Dig Plant Water Repeat. She bought a white one on one of her shopping trips, so you can go back, look through all of her videos to find that. Another one I feel like is a little bit more the popular plants or trees to grow, and that is the Japanese maple. Oh, how I wish I could grow this. Now there's tons of different varieties. The one that I chose is the Blood Good Japanese maple. It has like a burgundy foliage in the spring and summer with like this beautiful white, almost silvery trunk, and then it turns, the leaves turn a bright red in the fall. So gorgeous. Zones 5 through 8 gets 15 to 20 feet tall and wide. I wish so much. Moving on, now this next tree I saw once when I was driving in Montana. It is called the golden chain tree, and when we were driving, I remember yelling out to my husband, I'm like, what is that? I saw it from a distance. It was gorgeous, and I didn't know what to call it, so for years I called it the banana tree. And I remember that tree when I was doing this video, so I spent a while trying to figure out what it was, and I found it. The golden chain tree, and it's called that because in the spring, it gets these yellow slash golden, they look a little bit more yellow, gets these yellow blooms that are long, almost like a wisteria bloom, that are 10 to 20 inches long. Like the blooms are that long, and the whole tree is just covered in these blooms. They like full sun, gets 15 to 30 feet tall and wide, zones 5 through 7. And I never see anyone talk about this. Out of all the other gardeners I follow on YouTube and Instagram, no one talks about this. And I wonder if it's partly because it's very toxic to humans and pets, so you have to be concerned about that. But there's a lot of plants that people grow that are very toxic, so like the foxglove. So I'm just curious why I don't see this tree anywhere, because if I lived in that zone, I would definitely have it. So let me know if you have more info on that. 2 more. There is the Aphrodite sweet shrub. Now, any plant that has big glossy leaves, I'm all for. That's why I like begonias so much, because they have those waxy leaves and I love them. So when I saw this one, I'm like, yes. And then the flowers themselves, they're like this big burgundy slash red, almost like a Mongolia flower. Another yes. It starts blooming early summer and will bloom the rest of the season. Yes. Blooms on new and old wood. So if for some reason something happens to it and you cut off those old wood blooms, it will still bloom because it blooms on new wood as well. Zones 5 through 9, about 60 to 120 inches tall and wide, part sun to sun. So I feel like you can't go wrong with that, other than it's a little big. It does get a little big, so you need to have space for that. But gorgeous shrub, I feel like, and not your typical looking shrub either. Last but not least is star jasmine. Oh, how I wish I could grow this. I would love to grow it in an espalier. I want it for the smell. It gets these little tiny star white flowers that smells just incredible. 15 to 20 feet tall, 6 to 8 feet wide, or you can train it. Zones 8 through 10, so you gotta be in a warm zone to grow this one. But after it's done blooming, it still has that dark green foliage left behind, which provides so much interest on its own. But that is it. There's so many more plants, like I said, but I try to focus on the main, maybe more unique ones that I can't already find different varieties for. Let me know if you guys are growing any of these. Let me know of your favorites that should be on this list that I didn't include. And I just hope you all have a great day. It's actually Thanksgiving today, so I'm gonna run into the house, grab the kids, and we're going out to my mom's house. So I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.